Okay, hello, crime scene unit. Welcome. I am doing something today that I haven't done in 2 years, 3 years, a long time. And that is I am going to film a video which does not revolve immediately around my crafting that I've been doing in the here and now. And also I have written a script, more or less, kind of like a bones skeleton of a script, for this video about my burnout. Hello, welcome. My name is Heather, formerly Tansy, crime scene knitter, and I have decided to do this episode because I feel better and less burnt out. And so I wanted to just yap at you today about how I got burnt out and why I got burnt out. And then next time I film, I'm going to talk about the recovery process, because I always wanted to recover from burnout even before I knew that I was, as a matter of fact, burned out. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you are a crafty or a yarny YouTuber as well, and you have not burned out, or you have, and you would like to not experience that, or experience that more intelligently than I have, maybe this will be beneficial for you. I don't know, but this is what I'm doing today. So yeah, hang out, let's chat, let's go. I'm trying to drink some more water to sort of stay ahead of my permanent springtime throat frog. That is as a result of allergies, I think. So here's what went down. So I've been a YouTuber for, and I use the term YouTuber very loosely, I hope you all understand. But I've had this channel for about 7 years. And for those of you who have been here from the beginning, I think you will remember that who I was on YouTube and as I presented myself here 7 years ago is very, very different than who I show up as today. And I wanted to get into how this burnout happened and how I kind of set myself up for it. So 7 years ago, I decided that I was very, very passionate about my crafting, my knitting, my crocheting, and also very, very passionate about my work, which is crime scene investigation. For those of you who don't know, if you're new, crime scene knitter is not just a name that's for show, that is my actual employment. And I wanted to marry the two things together in my youthful exuberance and 20-something years old. Thought that that was going to be a really, really exciting idea. I thought that people were going to be very, very interested in me as a person, but also my crafting. And I knew that people have an interest in true crime stuff. And I thought, well, this is perfect. This is magic. We'll just mix the three of those things together. And yeah, when do I get to be on the Colbert Show? This is going to go great. Haha, joke is on me. I was heavily influenced by people who are actually influencers. I got started watching The Proper Pineapple years ago, back when I was still sort of participating in Christianity, which is one of her big things. But she was a very popular, and still is popular as far as I know, crochet YouTuber. Proper Pineapple wrote a lot of really cutesy patterns. She's had a lot of how-to videos, teaching, and she had this amazing fan base. As far as I know, she still has. And they would send her letters and comment on her videos, and all her videos were going viral and had all of these views, and she would get presents from people in the mail. And I looked at her success and I thought, that's what I want to do. I was also kind of influenced by the Grocery Girls. So, you know, really just attainable people to emulate. And I thought to myself, well, this is something I'm going to do as a hobby for now, and I'm going to build up a fan base, and then I will be an influencer as my second job when I retire from being crime scene investigator, because by then I will have millions of fans and I can just write a book and live off of the book proceeds. Very, very early 20s mindset of how this was all going to play out. I can see that now that I'm looking back from 32. But that was it. That was the plan. So August 19th of 2018, if y'all can even believe that. I could not believe that. I started this channel, Crime Scene Knits, and I thought to myself, in order to tell my crime scene stories from work, I'm going to have to change them and not use identifiers, obviously no names, but then I got to the point where I was even not using people's gender, so that I could try to tell these stories and keep them anonymous enough that no one could figure out who or what I was talking about. And I also came up with my sort of nom de plume of Tansy J. I made an anagram of my actual name with my full name, and I thought I was being terribly clever doing that. And so Tansy J was born, and I had an identity that was my online persona, and I had, my normal person persona. And where things started to go wrong was that I had a hard time keeping those two people separate, really. Yes, okay. Please excuse my checking notes. Like I said, I haven't done a script in a very, very long time. So now I've got this brand new channel. I'm full of vim and vigor and very enthusiastic, very excited, very high expectations that this whole YouTube channel thing is going to work out. It's gonna work. A part of that was that I sort of blended those two personas that I had, my actual self and Tansy J, and I also started really focusing on numbers. And I think a lot of influencers do that out of necessity. I think influencing, I thought that I could do it as a hobby and grow it into a job. I think there's a lot of people that think they can do that, and I think there's some people who are successful in that, but the reality that began to set in is influencing is a job, and it's a difficult job. I was trying to get my numbers up because numbers up meant that businesses were going to be paying attention to you, that viewers were going to be paying attention to you, and that you could have potentially some business relationships with people who make products. So I was trying to play a numbers game, essentially. I had more posts. At one point, I was trying to do 2 videos per week with editing, with show notes, with responding to all of my sort of likes and clicks and everything that I would get. I was doing giveaways. If you are from the olden times, you will remember my giveaways. More content, spending more time pouring into this, traveling even, because there are things like the Yarn Crawl, things like Fiberfest, where I felt like as an influencer, and I'm going to do that in air quotes because I was never a successful influencer, that I had to be there. I had to be there. I had to pay to go. I had to buy product. I had to schmooze and talk to people. And all of those things that are required of you when you want to have an influencer business, the peopling, as I call it, very taxing to my soul. Didn't understand that then, but I understand that now. So yeah, and I was courting businesses, essentially. I was trying to be communicative with yarn stores, people who dyed their own yarn. I was trying to catch the eye of Lion Brand and, Karen and Michael's Craft Store and Joann's back before they were going out of business for the second time. And all of this stuff, trying to sort of be exceptional on the internet and get people's eyes on me and on my content, going so far as to even gently but dipping my toe into like drama a little bit, which I'm also deeply not good at, so that didn't work out well. And it got to the point where almost all of my off time, off of my actual job that paid me real money that I used to eat, the time that I wasn't doing that, all of it was spent filming and planning content and trying to rope my husband into filming with me, which we did have fun doing, and making. And doing all of this whilst at the same time doing what I maintain is a really difficult line of work. Crime scene investigation is not for the faint of heart. It's not a true crime podcast. It is not, CSI Miami. I pick on that show a lot, where it's cut and dried and you get to go home and feel warm and fuzzy because he did, put the bad guy away in 45 minutes or less with commercial break. It was taxing. It's hurtful, it's harmful, it's watching people go through the worst parts of their life. It's homicide, it's domestic violence, it's child death. All of those things were happening out in the real world, my real world, and then I was trying to come into the pretend influencer world and commercialize it, monetize it. The other thing that was going on was that I was spending money to try to be an influencer. I was buying yarns to review and to sort of cultivate relationships with people who make yarn and who sell yarn. I'm purchasing things that I didn't need and that I didn't particularly want. Planning ahead for projects that I was never going to wind up making. And to sort of cultivate or culminate all of this is that I was spending so much time trying to be a yarn YouTuber that I had no time to actually make, to actually craft and knit. I had almost no projects being finished during my peak content producing time. Because I didn't have time. It's called slow fashion for a reason. It takes a long time to create these things. And I wasn't doing it, and I questioned my validity as a crafter, especially expressing myself as a maker to people on the internet when I did not have time to make, as a matter of fact. This is where I kind of started to get into the burn part of the burnout, because my numbers stagnated. I wasn't seeing continual growth like I thought I was going to. And I questioned why. Tried to create more content, to do more, to put more stuff out there, to be better. And all that did really was make me more tired. I started to then question, okay, well, if the content is what it is, maybe I am the reason why I'm not popular on the internet, and there's got to be something wrong with me. I'm not pretty enough. My face is too round. My teeth are chipped, or my voice isn't attractive enough. I'm not thin enough. That came up. I'm not buying enough product. I'm not making enough projects. All manner of things, and it finally got to the point where I thought, well, I must just suck as a person, and that's why this isn't working. And it got to the point then where making content and filming and editing and all of these other taxing things felt bad. I did not feel good doing them, and that is when I started to be avoidant in filming. I think the reasons why I felt terrible about making content were threefold. One of them was just the physical exhaustion of it. I kind of went over how much work it takes to be an influencer, how it is in fact a job. It was a second job for me. And there is also sort of the consumerism of it. That's the second thing. Being an influencer requires that to a certain extent you are kind of a shallow person on the internet, because influencers make money and make an income by being palatable, so selling sort of themselves on the internet to people and selling products. So getting people to click on links and buy things and spend time watching you, you have to appeal to kind of the lowest common denominator if you want to really make a living at it. A lot of people do. A lot of people are really good at that. I'm not built that way. I wasn't ever going to be. So it just didn't mesh with me. I got to a point where I realized that I was over purchasing yarn. I was over purchasing things for this craft, and I didn't like that consumerist feel of it. I didn't like how so many of my pieces, my content that I was making felt like a commercial, only not, because I wasn't being paid to push anything ever. I've never been sponsored. I've had a couple of places give me a discount when I purchased yarn because it was going for a giveaway, and I've had a couple of people give me free yarn for giveaways, but I never made a paycheck. I never was an affiliate of anybody, and doing all that work and getting not paid for it as if it was the job that it was sort of demoralizing, I guess. The other thing was there was a constant sort of push to create everywhere on YouTube. If you go and you're looking for yarn YouTubers, bless, and crafty people, crafty YouTubers, I'm having some trouble here, you guys. They're always got new projects. They're always finishing projects. Something new is always on the needles. It's always the newest yarn, the newest patterns, what patterns are hot right now. Everybody's casting them on. You know, just always, always, always a constant sort of, I described it in my notes as the drip, drip, and grind coffee maker of making, but never enjoying, at least for me. Let's see. Filming and... I can't read my own handwriting, is what's happening right now. So that's something else that hasn't changed. Yes, okay, so basically just trying to constantly be making something new, be making something interesting, having a new point of view to share with people. And then, you know, the constant strain of sharing my CSI stories. I did share some stories that were lighthearted. There's some lighthearted stuff that happens when you're in law enforcement from time to time, and then there's some heavier stuff. And got to the point also where I, in addition to being really disenchanted with the consumerism of this craft and the crafty YouTube side of things, I also became really not disgruntled, unsettled with the true crime aspect of it. I sort of got to the point where sharing crime stories felt commercial, felt kind of like I was selling tragedy in order to get views, and that also did not sit well with my soul. It felt yucky, is what I put in my notes, is the scientific term. And it just felt, I'm struggling to find the right word. It's, you know, kind of macabre, kind of careless, actually, the interest that I sometimes see people have with true crime. And not to say that there aren't valid reasons to be interested in true crime. There's people like myself who have a professional interest in it because this is what I do for a living, or maybe this is something someone wants to do for a living. And there's also a safety aspect, particularly for women. I know of myself that I want to listen to people's murder stories sometimes because I want to hear about how it happened and then extrapolate how can I protect myself. I think a lot of people do that. But the interest that I was seeing, not so much in my own content, but other people's true crime content, really just felt sickly, unwell, not appropriate. So at this point, I'm in full burnout. I have in my notes. I don't want to film. I don't want to edit. I stopped editing, as I'm not going to do this time also. Even creating, knitting and crocheting and making new things was starting to feel too much. And then TikTok came on the scene. I discovered TikTok. I want to say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. And that was a whole nother platform where I felt like I should be putting stuff out there and making things. And I did have a few successful TikToks, but at this point I was in burnout and it was just too much. It was one more thing on my back. So I started taking breaks. I stopped participating in Vlogmas. My content quality grew poorer. I tried less until finally I stopped. And I took, a year off, and then I took another 6 months off. And now with the filming that I've been doing is so sporadic, and I refuse to make a schedule, and I refuse to do show notes, and refuse to do editing really at all. I do a little bit, but not that much. So I kind of, I've let go these past months to a year on that concept that, 25-year-old me have of being successful and being an influencer and making this into a job after I got good at it. That was the biggest joke of all, that I was going to get good at this. And I did, for a long time, debate on just erasing my whole channel. I will be honest with you guys, I also felt really ashamed that I tried so hard to make this channel something, and I fell so flat. I just didn't feel comfortable sharing anymore. I don't think I made a TikTok for a long time at that point. I just withdrew from the whole concept. So that brings me to where we're kind of at now. I knew I did not want to stop filming. I didn't really want to erase the channel, but I didn't want my old stuff up. I took down everything that was older that had crime scene stories in it particularly. Those are not coming back up. And I started what I'm calling season 2 of Crime Scene Knits. Let's see. Checking my notes again. Apologies. Yeah, so that's where I'm at now. We're in season 2. Season 1 is kind of over and done. I've moved on from the desiring to be a successful influencer. I've become a lot more aware of who I am as a person and how I interact with the world and how I can't interact with the world because I don't have the energy sufficient to maintain it. And I just wanted to film again today because I've been feeling better. I've been feeling like I've made the changes that I needed to make, and I do like to film. I do like to put, I'll call it garbage, up on YouTube that no one really cares about, and be sort of, I've always really enjoyed when I have the bravery to be ugly on the internet, because I'm not by any means the most attractive person on here, and I'm not the most interesting, and I'm not always very charismatic, I guess I'll say, but I like to do this and be here anyways, in spite of all of that. And I wanted to film this also for people, like I said at the beginning, who are yarn YouTubers, who want to be influencers, who want to make money at this, who want to be good at this, or who just want to do this in a way where they don't burn out and they don't hate making content for 2 years at a time. I think of a woman that I met on a yarn crawl. She has a channel, Belinda's Baubles. She's very sweet. I haven't watched any of it, but I think she used to be, or maybe still is, a viewer of mine. So if you're here, hi Belinda, hope you're doing well. She had all of her filming gear and was filming like I was during this period of burnout that I was in. And she made a comment to me, said hello, introduced herself, and said that, oh, you're one of the reasons why I was sort of influenced or motivated to try this. And I said something at the time, and I was just thinking, man, I wonder how long she's going to last. Because like I said, I was in the midst of my burnout at the time. And I just felt how terribly cynical that was at the time. And because I've learned so much about sustainable content making, at least for myself and maybe for other people who are more introverted, who are maybe have ADHD also, and not super social butterfly-like. I just thought that this would be interesting for some people. This maybe would be helpful for some people. And in the interest of time, both yours and mine, I'm going to sort of talk about my climb out of the burnout hole another video, because I get tired, and I am going to respect when I get tired. But I want to leave you with this. I wrote this paragraph, and I'm actually kind of proud of it, so I'm going to read it to you. I will leave you all with this. I'm not done being the crime scene knitter. 7 years is a long time, and I have grown a lot in how I move through the world, how I show up for myself and others, and how I do this show, as we've all seen. I'm not giving up yet. I'm a knitter, not a quitter, and I will see you on the next one. Stay crafty, and remember that commercial knits are for the weak, and we are strong. Okay, bye everybody.